Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm very excited to be here with you today for this session. My name is Talia Menachem, and I am just outside of Tel Aviv in Israel. It's been a beautiful sunny day, and we have people on our call today from Seattle, from Canada, from Dubai, from Ireland, Mexico, all over the world. So thank you all for joining us. We are going to, hold on. Okay, great. If you will note, take a look and you'll see next to your name there is a camera icon, and most of you have your cameras on, which is fantastic. There's also a mute and an unmute icon, like a little camera. If at any time during the session today you'd like to ask a question or you'd like to say something, a tip about an experience, whatever it is, you are more than welcome to just go ahead and unmute yourself, interrupt me. Don't worry about using the raise the hand little thing. Just go ahead and unmute yourself and feel free to share. That will be the easiest. Let's see. So, first, we're going to start with a very little bit about points of view. Points of View was started in 2007. Actually, tomorrow is Points of View's 8th birthday. And we create tools that are used by all sorts of people all over the world, whether it's companies, large and small, from NASA to MDOC to small businesses, to schools, to prisons, therapists, social workers, all sorts of different types of people are using the tools in beautiful and powerful ways. It's very inspiring. And basically our session today is going to be about the coaching game. So we're going to go through the different components of the coaching game and talk a bit about them and discuss. And let me see, just real quick, here, but don't see anything. I'm not sure why you can't see me, Dina. If you can hear me, that's good. Look at the bottom of your screen for a WebEx icon, and then the screen will come up again, and you should be able to see me. Okay, so we're going to discuss the coaching game. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you real quick? I think that's pretty much it. The whole point of the coaching game and all of the tools by Points of View is really to offer an opportunity to pause, whether it's a sales training, whether it's a bunch of CEOs or employees, students in a school, or women doing a leadership retreat, whatever it might be. The game offers you an opportunity to pause and to check in with yourself, to look at things from a different perspective, to connect, to get insights, and just really expand your point of view. So basically, let's just start. We'll get right into it and see where the session takes us. So here's the coaching game. It's now available in many different languages. We have it in English, German, Spanish now is coming out, Norwegian, Japanese, Russian, Polish, Romanian soon, and maybe a few others that I forgot. If you're interested in a different language, then please let me know and we'll see what's going on with that. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and open it. We have inside here 65 cards. We'll get into them in a moment. A cloth process chart here. Inside here, we have one of my favorite parts of the coaching game, which is the book. And then in here, we have the focus notes. So we're going to start talking about the cards that are in the coaching game. Now, like I said, the coaching game can be used with groups, it can be used one-on-one, it can be used with people of all ages, it can be used for workshops that are on leadership, for team building, it can be used as an icebreaker, very, very flexible uses for any topic, any population, any age group really, and every single time it's used, there's some things that are very constant. So the cards, they're always going to be used most likely, and there are 65 cards in the coaching game. Each one has a photo and a word, And there's all sorts of different cards. There is this one, which, for example, says belief. This one, which says beginning, failure, excuses, death, all sorts of different cards. Now, one of the things that we will always encourage during a session when you're using the coaching game is to, hold on one moment. I'm sorry. Okay, great. I hope that works. If you have any questions anytime and you don't want to speak, you can also send me a message in the chat box, no problem. So the cards. When you're using the cards with a group or one-on-one or with yourself, let's say for an icebreaker, for example, then, and let's say you put the cards in the middle of the room and they are face down, and we'll talk about that in a moment, about the cards being used face up or face down. And everybody is going to just choose a card, and that's how they're going to introduce themselves, for example. Then we will often encourage participants or your clients or your team to choose a card, to look at it, and spend a few moments looking at it, because there's a lot of phototherapy principles that come into play here. We'll often encourage participants to cover up the word and to look just at the photo, and then uncover and to see what they see, what's going on in the photo. If they were to zoom out, what would they see? To spend a few minutes talking about how to look at the photo. If you have a more recent set of the coaching game, then you also receive the card as one of the cards that come with it that explains and has lots of guiding questions about how to look at a photo and how to look at a word. If you received the coaching game a while ago and you don't have that card, it's okay. After this call, I'm going to send you a very juicy email with all sorts of goodies, and one of the things in my list of good stuff is that PDF about how to look at a card and how to look at a word and a photo. So not to worry. But as a facilitator, I encourage you to offer your clients or your participants to spend a moment looking at the card to see what they see, what kind of associations, metaphors, who knows what are coming up when they're looking at the card, and to look at the word. Even though the word takes up such a small part of the card, it's almost always what people will notice about a card. So it's good to cover it for a moment, look just at the photo, and think about it. And then also look at the word, see if the photo and the word connect. If not, that's okay too. And then to proceed to go around and introduce yourself, for example. And I guarantee that you're going to get a very different type of introductory icebreaker session than if you were just to go around and say, hi, my name is Talia Menachem, I work at Points of View, blah, blah, blah. You'll really hear some neat insights and some great sharing. So spending a moment looking at the cards is an important part of that step. So we have the cards. Any questions about that? Don't be shy. Send me a chat. Speak up, no problem. So we have the 65 cards, and we have the photo and the word on them, and that's what makes these cards unique to the coaching game and different than our other game, Punktum. But we can discuss that later if anybody has questions. So there are all sorts of different cards. There are good cards, and there are bad cards. And if you can't see me right now, then I'm doing those air quotes because really there are no good cards or bad cards. It's all about your point of view. So while some people may consider, this is one of my favorite cards, failure, with this Lego person that's on their back, a bad card or maybe negative, I think it's fantastic and I love it and I could go on and telling you why, but it's all about our point of view. And actually a little story that has to do with this concept of the good cards and bad cards is from Yaron Golan. He's who my name is listed as. He is one of the co-creators of Points of View, Yaron and Efrat, and they're incredible. So Yaron told us the story how he was doing a workshop at the very beginning when he was using the coaching game, and he had about 50 people in the room, and there was one elderly woman in the room, and they were choosing the cards face down, and it was her turn to choose, and he was so worried that she was going to choose the death card, because that's a bit heavy, and he was nervous, and lo and behold, this elderly woman chooses the death card. And he starts to sweat. He gets nervous. He's freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. Should he interject? Should he say something, offer something? Because this card is just too much for her. And in the end, he decided to trust the process and to go with it. And when it was her turn to share, she ended up sharing that this card actually gave her permission for the first time to acknowledge that she hadn't processed her husband's passing, and that it was a gift for her, and she started to share, and it was beautiful, and it was a very pivotal moment, an experience for Yaron, that he shared with us that it's really about trusting the process. Often facilitators will, and trainers and workshop trainers will share that they may take out a card during a session. Welcome, Georgia, great. Okay. And Sabina, woo-hoo, welcome. I'm just going to put you on mute for now, but if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. What was I saying? To trust the process, and that often facilitators and trainers and educators will say, you know, we're working with high schoolers and it might not be appropriate, or maybe it's a bit too much to have this death card or guilt or difficulty or some of those bad cards. And I'm reminding you today, as trainers, facilitators, psychologists, all the different kinds of jobs that you all have and the work that you do, even with your own families, to trust the process. It's all about your point of view. And while you may see the card in one way, it's incredible how everybody will make different connections and associations, and these photos will trigger a memory. They'll trigger something in our internal photo memory banks and get people connecting and talking and sharing, and who knows where it will take them. So, quick reminder to trust the process. There aren't really good cards and bad cards. However, often in workshops, let's say you're doing a session on leadership and you're talking about your leadership strengths, and you've chosen to put the cards face down, and everyone's choosing their card, and Camelia is sitting there. She chooses a card. Let's say it is alone. Okay? This is the card she chose, and she's stuck. She doesn't know what to say. She doesn't get it. She doesn't connect with the photo, with the word, nothing. That's okay. As a facilitator, as a trainer, as the leader of the session, we have 2 tips that I can suggest that you can use in these types of situations. First of all, don't start sweating and getting nervous. Everything's okay. So it's 3 tips. The second one is that you can offer Camelia or your participants to choose another card. This card can be a helper card for them. And sometimes if you choose another card, it will be a bridge of sorts. I chose trust randomly just now. And perhaps the 2 cards together, whether you're discussing my addiction, my upcoming college plans, or my leadership strengths, will offer that kind of connection for her and make it a bit more accessible for her to share. That's one idea. Another thing that we will always mention in sessions is that at any time during the workshop or during the day, whatever it might be, if somebody chooses a card that they don't really connect to for whatever reason, that it's a bit too much for them, that they don't, it's just confronting, it's whatever it is, it's okay. They're always welcome to change the card and get a new one at any point. We will, however, kindly suggest that this is a really fantastic opportunity to stick with the same card. Because if you're facing that kind of resistance or there's something going on there, then it might be the perfect and safe space opportunity to talk about it. And even if you do put the card back and you take a new one, we know from experience that that first card you picked, it's going to kind of loom around, it's going to kind of haunt you. Later on in the day, you're going to be thinking about it anyway because you saw the picture and the word and somehow it triggered something. So since we're all together in this workshop, here's a great opportunity to stick with it. But no pressure. Everyone should always feel comfortable to change their cards. And if you phrase it that way, and from my experience in workshops and sessions and training, then most often people will appreciate the safe space you create, even if it's about leadership or sales or whatever it might be, and stick with the cards and see where it takes them. So those are my 3 tips for when your participants choose their cards and there may be some kind of going on there. Any questions, thoughts, anything so far? Okay, great. So that is a bit about the good cards and the bad cards. Another thing that's very important to consider and to be aware of is when you're choosing to use the cards face up or face down. And if this is in a group setting, in a workshop where you are, I don't know, you could be doing a storyboard with children or with adults. You could be talking about, you could be doing a workshop for mothers and daughters. You could be doing a workshop on pregnancy and motherhood, whatever it might be. You can choose to use the cards face up or face down in the session. And there are, and also for the layout chart, if you're working one-on-one with a client and you're using the process chart, for example, which we'll talk about in a moment, but here it is. You can again choose to use the cards face up or face down. Most often, there's no right or wrong way. Just like everything, there's no right or wrong way to use the game at all. As long as you are feeling good about it and all the participants are feeling safe and wonderful, great. But there are definite positives and, positives and some drawbacks as well about when you're going to choose to use the cards face up or face down. Most often in workshops and icebreakers, we will use the cards face down. This is a great opportunity to get a new perspective, to think about things in an entirely different way, to look at things from a different perspective. If you have a team that is stuck, if you have a client who is discussing their career or their upcoming year and they're used to, or their weight loss, whatever it might be, and they're used to looking at things in the same way, this is a great opportunity for them to think about it from a completely different perspective. So in that way, you'll really get different answers, and it's a lot of those moments where clients or teams are getting unstuck is when they're looking at our team, our project from the perspective of point of view, or another random card I'm going to choose now, success. Who knows? You'll really get a neat conversation going there. So fantastic. For some people, choosing the cards face down is a bit confronting. It could be, perhaps it's more logical people. Perhaps you're working with a bunch of bankers or, I don't know, people who like numbers and who are thrown off by this concept of cards being in the middle of their executive session of blah, blah, whatever, and it seems a bit too much for them. That's a great opportunity to use the cards face up. It makes it a little bit more accessible for people to choose a card that reflects an answer to the question that you're asking. What are my strengths as a leader? And I'm going to look through and I'm going to choose a card and share why I chose this card. I chose this card because these are those things you see at beautiful places with a scenic view, and my strength as a leader is that I am the step that offers everybody to see that great view and helps people find the clarity, and I blah, 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 who knows, whatever. So people will be able to choose a card that answers the question, and it'll give you a great understanding of where they're at right now. It's not a completely different perspective, but it's going to get them sharing. It may take a few more minutes. You should, as a facilitator, as a trainer, build in a little bit more time for when the cards are used face up, because choosing a card that answers the question is a process that takes a little bit longer than just choosing a card randomly. But it's fantastic, can be great. I will say again that even with more logical, whatever, skeptical, whatever kind of people, we'll still use the cards most often face down. Trust the process and check to see if you're feeling nervous about them connecting or if it's actually going to be an issue. But it's okay, either way, no judgment. So that's a very little bit about the cards face up, face down. We do have some activities that are built to be face up. For example, we have a fantastic activity that we call My Photo Album. And this is a great workshop that or activity session that you can do whether, like I said, whether you're working on leadership, whether you're talking about body image or any topic that you're working with. And what we'll do is we'll put all of the cards face up on the floor in the middle of a room, and let's say we're discussing, let's say leadership strengths again, just because it's very common. Leadership strengths. And we will tell everyone to choose 3 to 5 cards from all of the cards that are faced up in the middle of the room and that reflect their leadership, to make a little photo album of sorts. And then we'll break them up into small groups, depending on how many people are there, groups of 2, 3, 4 people. And everybody will take their little photo album and sit down in their little small circles. And one by one, a participant is going to put their photo album in the middle of the circle, but they're not going to share about what they chose. Everybody else is going to first discuss and share why they think that Donna chose these cards to represent her leadership strengths. And only after everybody else shares what they see in Donna's photo album, whether it's patterns, that there are animals in every single picture, or whether she chose, oops, one moment. You didn't hear us, Chuck? Oh, but I'm talking. Okay, sorry. So everyone else is going to share about their perspectives and what they saw in Donna's cards. Sorry. Can I have? Okay. Sorry. So everyone's going to share, and then only after everyone gives their perspective and looks at this photo album as a little album, then Donna is going to share why she chose these cards. And it's a really neat and very simple process that's going to be full of insight, really neat sharing. It's a great team building activity as well, because you're really getting to hear some neat insights from your fellow team members, participants, colleagues. And then also Donna's going to share, and at the end you can also, if you'd like, to tell them to choose the title for their photo album, to choose their favorite card, and then you can take that and use it in another session. Endless ways, but that's a session that we will do on purpose face up. Questions? I appreciate your smile, Donna. Thanks. I see you. And Dina and Cindy, everybody, I see y'all. Okay. Oh, so fun. Okay. Questions at all? Okay. So another really neat activity that we'll do along the lines of team building is called the group puzzle activity, and I'll send you links to these as well later so that you can use them or adapt them to whatever content you're working on. But it's a really neat process of team building where it could be the card, for example, in the morning that you used as your icebreaker card, or it's from your photo album, a card that each participant is connected with. You're going to instruct the group, the team, whatever, to create a puzzle that reflects and represents the group. And you as a facilitator step back, and of course you see what happens in the room. Here comes Rebecca, and she's asking Jason and Georgia, what would you like to do? Let's get some ideas. And here comes Emma taking the lead, and then suddenly Vincent grabs the card, and all the things that happen in a group and all the dynamics, they really come to the surface in this simple activity, and it really provides an opportunity for the team to experience their dynamics, and also for you as a facilitator to observe and to give space to those dynamics and issues and challenges that they may be facing as you discuss the activity afterwards. So that's the puzzle process. Another really neat and simple idea I heard from a fantastic woman I spoke to last week, and she works in mining, and she goes to all these mines, and then she works with the behavioral change, really neat. Anyway, the tools are used in incredible places. She said that she will put the 65 cards in the middle of the room, and with people who don't know one another, and she'll tell them to choose a group card. That's it. And she steps back. And then they do. And there's a really neat process that happens there. And then they talk about it after, and they really get to know one another, and she loves it. So I'm passing it on to you as well. Give it a try. Okay. One moment. Yes, who has a question? I think you're all with me, which is good. But don't be shy. If you do have a question and you're wondering something, then somebody else probably is too. And if you prefer, you can type it in the chat box, which is to the right above. You'll see a little icon. Another quick thing is that if you only see me on the screen, but you'd like to see the others, then there's a little option there to view all participants in full screen view in the top corner, maybe here or here where I'm talking, and then you'll see everybody. Okay, so that's a very bit about the cards. You'll also see on them, nice little segue, is that on each card there is a number and a symbol. The symbol corresponds to the series. In the coaching game, there are 5 different series of cards. Now, this can be as present in your workshops or sessions as you'd like it to be. Most often in the sessions that I've experienced, it's not a major part of it, unless, for example, you do a photo album process and you have all of the same symbols. And the different series, where's my book? The different series are journey, doing, difficulty, what else? Opportunities, and just be. And so if somebody's choosing, your client or your participants are choosing all the cards from the difficulty series, that's really going to say a lot and offer you a clue into where they're at, and there's a bit that you can read about here in the book about the series. Some people I've heard about doing workshops based just on the series, how it pertains to their divorce or to their blah, blah. So be creative. It could be used in any way. On the bottom of the card, you'll also see there is a page number. And this connects to a, connects to a page in the coaching game book. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the book in the coaching game, but it is one of my favorite parts of the game, and it's also one of my favorite parts about a workshop, because we incorporate the stories in here. So, for example, let's pick a new card. Difficulty. And it is page 94. Page 94 is going to offer you a story, quotes and questions, more images and text that have to do with difficulty and the image from the difficulty card. Now, this can be used if you're working one-on-one with a client. You can, they choose a card and they're talking about it, sharing, connecting, or not. You can also offer them a moment to sit and to read the story. The stories in here are all sorts of folk tales and fables and Zen stories, Sufi stories, all sorts of really neat tales that either have a moral to the story or offer a different perspective on that topic. And they're really neat. It's okay if you don't agree with them. There's some provocative quotes and questions. There's a quote from Hitler in the coaching game book. It's okay. It's all about our point of view, and see where it takes you. Great questions too. My favorite way to use the coaching game book in a workshop is during a session. It could be a workshop on, again, any topic, team building, leadership, communication. And in between sharing or in strategic little moments during the session, we'll choose to read a story from the book. For example, the story that is corresponding to the card stuck, or authenticity, beginning, should be. Those are some of our judgments, some of our favorite stories to read. And the reason that we will incorporate the stories into the workshops is for a couple of different reasons. Sometimes during a workshop, it can be intense. There's a lot of sharing. You might be talking about your team's strengths or your team challenges or your team building or whatever, but it can get intense. There's a lot of sharing, a lot of listening, and the opportunity to take a little time out and to have a break for a story in the middle of your session of your workshop is a great opportunity for some people to tune out, not listen to the story, and process. It's an opportunity for some people to just take a break from the sharing and insights and to listen to the story and enjoy a chuckle at the end or whatever it is that the story's about. And it just is a really neat way to bring some life into your workshop. When we read the stories, usually I read the stories in the workshop, I bring them to life. It's similar to how you might read a story to a child. You bring it out and really get people connected and into it, and it's really fun. My #1 favorite story to read is Stuck, but there's a bunch of them. And in the email I send you, I'll also list my favorite stories, but take some time and read. Read it like it's a book. One moment, somebody, okay. Read the stories, see which ones you can connect to, which ones you think that when you're doing your upcoming workshops, it might be a neat way to start the session, to end the session, to have a timeout in the middle, and try it and see how it goes. See which ones will support the content that you're delivering. We do a really, really neat workshop that's about 90 minutes. 90 minutes to 2 hours, and we call it an experiential encounter. And this workshop can be done with 65 people with one set of the coaching game, because there's 65 cards in the game, up to 650. It could just, you just need more sets of the cards. And we did it recently last May for 250 people at the Training and Development Expo that was in Washington, D.C. And basically, it's a very simple concept. Everybody will choose cards randomly, then they'll pair up, and we'll ask a question. We'll say, what is working well in my life? Very simple. And the partners will begin to share. Partner A will share through their photo, through the word on their card. Here's one, hold on. What is working well in my life? And when partner A is done sharing, we'll read a story. Ha ha ha, really neat, nice, something that supports the content of what is working well in my life. Something optimistic, something that really brings it together. Then partner B will share. And that's great, wonderful sharing. Then we'll ask them to exchange their cards. Partner A will give partner B their card, whoop, and now they have a second-hand card, and they're going to go find a new partner, and we'll read another story, and then they'll answer another question with their new partner. What is not working well in my life? Simple, broad questions. Often it's facilitators and trainers and psychologists and social workers and teachers and whatever we all are. We will work really hard to find really good questions. And good questions don't always have to be complex. Think about the questions you're using in your sessions and think about how you can break them down. Because most often, each question could probably be broken down into smaller little bites that will be really powerful and simple. We will most often in these sessions use what is working well in my fill in the blank, career, leadership, team building, motherhood, parenting, whatever it is. What is not working well in my blah? And then finally, the third question, once they've changed cards again and they get a new partner, is what do I want to invite into my life? Or what do I want to invite into my leadership? What am I ready for in blah, blah, blah? Very simple, very powerful. People will talk a lot and share and connect, tried and true, all over the world. It works. So give that a try. And dare to try to use the stories in one of the workshops. They're fantastic and really neat. Question? Because I'm so clear and you just get it? That's neat. Okay. This is your chance. If you've tried something and you've had some experience and it didn't work so well, that's okay too. So, and share about it because let's think together. I'm telling you, I'm here for you. So don't be shy. Okay. Love the book. If you want to hear a story later, maybe I'll read one, but we'll see. Okay. So that is the book. And we had no questions. Did I want to add anything else about that? I don't think so. Okay. Finally, we also have two more parts of the coaching game. We have the layout chart. And this has all sorts of different purposes. When you just look at it, you'll see that there are 4 different processes you can do here: relationships, past, present, and future, awakeness, which is not a typo. We understand that that may not be a word in the English language and might not be in the dictionary, but it's the right word, awakeness. And relationships, did I say that? Gain and loss. Okay, and there are 4 different processes that you can do. I suggested in the homework that you take a peek and do them yourselves. I don't know if anyone did, but before you try them out with clients, take a moment and sit on your own and go through this layout chart. Now, and a little bit more of the technical things about it, you can use the cards face up or face down. If, for example, we are talking about my financial situation. These are great one-on-one, but they don't have to be used one-on-one. You can also use it for a group. And these are the structures and the questions that you'll use for a group. So think outside of the box. My financial situation, great. What happened in the past? I can choose a card that I feel answers this question. What happened in the past? In the past, I choose this card, intuition. I just went with the flow, blah, blah, blah. It was great. Followed my heart and made tons of money. It was great. Or I could choose a card randomly, which I'll do now. Trust. And so now I'm going to share about something else. It's the same task that I had, but you're going to hear a different perspective, and it's going to be random and really offer some different kind of thinking. I'm going to have to stop and think about it for a minute. I'm going to look at the photo, look at the word, but that's about the face up, face down. So I choose the answer. What is happening now? Now, some people will choose to take 3 cards, put them face down, boom, 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 randomly, and then go one by one, answering the questions. Others will prefer to flip them all over at once, to maybe first look at them as a set of 3, as a triptych, identify some patterns, connections, and then break it down, go one by one, use the book as well, go in depth. There's no right or wrong way. But it's really neat for one-on-one and for playing by yourself. Also, children and high school students and youth love that and can connect to that, and it really gives them that kind of framed structure that's often soothing. So really neat. The other objective of the process charts is to kind of get you into a mode of thinking and practicing to think about how to use these simple but powerful questions. You'll notice the questions are, what am I gaining? What price am I paying? What is the insight? Or relationships, what isn't working in the relationship? What do I bring to the relationship? What does the other side bring to the relationship? Bite-sized questions that are answerable with one of the cards. And so if you start thinking in that way, it will really organize the process for you. So fantastic for one-on-one with groups. You can incorporate the books as well, the book into talking about each card. And you'll also see that there's space up here for the focus notes. Now the focus notes are our final part of the coaching game, and they're right here. If you have an older version of the coaching game, they might be called the coaching tickets. It's okay, same thing. The whole idea is to incorporate the power of writing into your process. So rip it out. Don't be scared to use them. If you use them and you love them and you run out, good. Send me an email. I'll send you another one. No big deal. Use them up and enjoy them. And you just fold it over like this. Whoop. And this is going to be used to incorporate the power of writing, but also to keep your clients, which is fantastic for one-on-one, or if in a group everybody has a set of the game and they can use it too, great. It's going to help keep your clients focused, because often what will happen is, even though you are asking, what is working well in my life, when somebody gets whatever card, it doesn't really matter, they will be very, very likely to just start talking. Often it will go in the negative direction about what's not working, what they don't like. They'll talk about how they connect to the card. They'll connect and they'll share and blah, 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 but they're not answering your question. And you, at the end of the day, as a trainer or as a psychologist, whatever, you have a little bit of an objective to the session. And this is an opportunity to write down the question, the issue that you're discussing right here, to set it down on the layout chart in front of you, like that, and keep your participant or your client focused. This is the topic we're discussing. Bring it back. So there's a space to write the issue. You also have a space to write here, there's a little 2 lines, to write down the cards that the participant, that they can write down, the cards they received for this activity. We know from experience, from workshops, from everywhere, and all ages, that people will love the cards that they get. They're always the perfect cards for the topic they're working on, and often people will want to take a photo of the cards that they got during the session. Sometimes they'll love their card so much that you'll realize later you're missing a card in your deck because that card found a new home, which happens. Just let me know. I'll send you a new card. It's okay. And I also suggest as a facilitator to take photos during these sessions when people are using the tools for no other purpose than to send them to the team or to your client later so that they have them, because it'll really bring them back into the experience. It'll be a really pleasant little gift to have in memento to have as a team later. They could print out the pictures, they could have it on their wall, and a nice reminder of a neat experience that they had. So that's a great thing to do in general. And encourage them to take the photos of the cards that they got. It's okay, not weird, totally common. And the inside of this little focus note, there's a little room here to write, what is my most significant insight from the process? And they can take a moment to write that down. And there's also room here, how do I express the insight into my own life? An action that they can do in the upcoming 24 hours, upcoming week, and that's a part of the process that you'll have with them, which is fantastic. Another question that I just thought of that I really enjoy asking during sessions is asking the participants to consider at the end, towards the end of the closure, what did I choose to share during the session? And what did I choose to keep to myself and not share? Both are okay, both are great, there's no judgment, but just to give those thoughts that you chose not to share some space. They were there, they came up, and it's okay. So just an idea for a neat question. Let's see, questions, do you have any?
I have a question, Talia.
Yes, Rebecca.
Hi.
Hi.
So, hi. I'm thinking about my own personal situation, and I work with adults that have a very wide variety of developmental disabilities and mental challenges. And I thought how fun this would be to use as an icebreaker or some sort of game for them. Do you have any suggestions or tips or ideas around, would there be differences or things I should consider when working with that particular population?
They have, first of all, thank you for your question. They have, can you please remind me what you said at the beginning about they have developmental challenges or delays or issues, or what type, can you please remind me what you said?
Yeah, developmental disabilities. So, you know, most of them are living in adult family homes, have caregivers, as well as some mental health issues. So ADD or, you know, schizophrenia, stuff like that. So it's a pretty wide range, but definitely challenged in that area.
Okay, and you're interested in doing icebreaker with them? I would say every single thing that I've said applies exactly to them.
Okay.
Because they will connect in their own ways to photos, and things that may trigger them could be something that would trigger someone else or not, right. For better, for worse, who knows. Try it and see how it goes, and I know that you'll create a safe space that will be a really neat opportunity for them to, you know, sometimes, especially if there's challenges in expressing themselves verbally, then connecting to these photos sometimes is what's really going to trigger something that people can't help themselves but to speak. Something comes up and it really connects them, and so that might be an even more special opportunity for them to connect to the photos. And maybe it's a process that some could be done in silence too. If there's someone doesn't want to share, or it's too much or whatever, to choose a few cards silently to, I don't know, think about it very creatively about ways that they can make their choices and that they can express themselves in ways that won't be too much for them, but trust them and yourself, and it'll be great.
All right, great. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks for asking. Who else?
I have a question. It's Emma. Oops.
Okay.
Great. Hi, Emma. Yes.
All right. My question is, so I can see how I can apply the processes in lots of different situations. But one of the ways I do work coaching, it's not all of it, but some of the way I work in coaching is through Skype. So I was wondering what kinds of experiences you've had or anyone you know has had to work remotely as well, because I'd like to be able to do this remotely as well because it increases engagement.
Yes, neat. Very good question.
How might that work?
So using the games virtually or through Skype, and we've been working on an online play platform, and so it's going to happen. And so there's going to be a really neat way that's especially for coaches and trainers and facilitators who work online to be able to use the tools. But that's going to happen in 2016. So until then, we'll be creative. There's a few different ways. One, if you want your clients to have a set of the coaching game there with them, fantastic, and we can discuss that as well about how you can make that possible, whatever, about getting more games. That's the best way. And then when you can give them a homework assignment, or if they're with, a couple who's working on their relationship, for example, or a family, then they can go do some activities, come back to your session and share, which is really neat and very powerful. Otherwise, I've heard of all sorts of creative ways, whether it is on our old website, we have a card of the day app. I'll send you a link to that too, where they can choose a card and then they see it. I've had trainers who tell me that they'll use the WhatsApp, the application. They'll have the participant, their client, choose a number from 1 to 65 or whatever the cards start at, and then that's their random card, and then they'll show it, or they'll take a photo and send it to them by email or on their phone, and then really get them talking about it, and it works. It's creative, but it works. Donna's shaking her head. Maybe she's had some experience with that, which is great. But it's really doable. And at the end of the day, they just really need to be able to see the photos. If they have them in their hands, it's even better. I don't know if that answered, but it's very doable, and a lot of people do a lot of Skype calls and use it online.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. Now, I was just going to add to that. I did that once. I took a picture with my iPhone of one of the cards and emailed it to them. And they did whatever reading or whatever intuitive thoughts came out. And when we discussed it in the next session, it was very easy because I knew what card they were looking at. They had it on their screen, and it does work. It's doable.
It sounds like it's going to be a little juicy, but it's doable, great, powerful.
Yeah, I've even texted the picture to them.
Yeah, that's
so they get it. Yeah, and then they do whatever they have to do, and then they get back.
Neat.
Good.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Natalia, on that note, have you guys come up with a set of images that you can make available that are nicely
online?
Good resolution, and they're not just kind of taken with lighting, like, I don't know, the original images that you have, or like, is that something you've made available or could?
No, we haven't yet, but when we have the online play platform, that's going to be part of it, really making the images very clear and visible and accessible. For right now, we can't put out, high-definition images of all the cards because there goes the game for the copyright and those kinds of issues. But it's definitely going to make it very accessible to use online and with clients all over the world. It'll be great.
Cool. The other thing I wanted to ask is, are you going to talk at all about Punctum or
not today? I'm going to leave you hanging, but I can briefly say that Punctum is a fantastic tool, and it offers a unique flexibility that is appreciated by lots of trainers and facilitators and social workers and people who like to do more dynamic processes, who like to have a bit more creativity and different options with the game. Both of them can be used together. And they can also be used separately. And for those unfamiliar, Punctum is a game that offers also cards, and it is built on the concept of what happens when a photo meets a question and meets a word. So there's 33 photo cards, there's 33 question cards, and there's 33 word cards. And so there are the My Photo Album process. We actually most often will do it with the punctum, with the set of punctum, which is, punctum means, it's from Latin, and it means, it's a word from the photography world. It means a point, a specific detail or a moment of discovery in a card when you're looking at a photo, and you notice a small detail that suddenly changes the entire meaning of the photo for you. So that's what punctum means. And it's a really neat way to then ask your participants who are doing the photo album to choose a title for their photo album, or to give a gift. Choose a question to give as a gift to your teammate or to your colleague, and that way it makes those questions a little bit less confronting and a little bit more accessible, and there's really neat activities you can do with punctum. And the words, the 33 words that are in punctum, are actually words that are in the coaching game. So you can combine them, you can use the book together with it, and it's really neat, highly recommended. If you don't have it yet and you'd like to, then just send me an email. Maybe next month we'll do a call on punctum, but I don't know, we'll see. Good question. Thanks, Jason. Any other questions? Welcome, Carla. Yay. Okay. Emma, are you raising your hand from before, or do you have a question? Okay. So that's a very, very general overview about the tool, about the coaching game. I think that most importantly, and from questions I've had from other sessions and experience, that my biggest tips would be to trust the process. If you're unsure about how something could work or about how it could be, you're welcome to send me an email and ask me what I think, and I'm happy to have a call with you, or to email and give you ideas or connect you with someone who might have experience in that world. But just go with it. Again, there's no right or wrong way to use the tools. Fantastic. Go with it, do it, and see what happens. And also to check your assumptions. To check to see if you're concerned about using a game in the workplace, or if it's something that's actually a real issue, or sometimes our own anxiety and stress and concerns and whatever it is will impede on what we actually offer to our clients. So check your assumptions and go with it. Dare to be creative. What I'd like to do now is, we have just a couple of minutes left, I know we started a few minutes late too, is to do something that we do in our workshops as a closure. We will go around one by one and take a moment to think. Well, first, take a moment to think about the session today, about what we spoke about at the beginning, about the good cards and the bad cards, about the stories in the book, about the story your own had with the desk card, about the layout charts, and the different activities and ideas and suggestions and questions that we had during the session. And in one word or in a short sentence, what do you take away from the session today? So we're going to go one by one. In one word or a short sentence, what do you take away from the session today? We'll start. I'm going to move over to here. Yes. One moment. Hold on. Hold on. Computer issue. One moment. Sorry. It'll help if I take myself off of mute. Okay, who's first? In one word sentence, we'll go around real quick.
You want me to go, or are you going to pick people?
Sure.
Patience. Just to be patient with the client and not lead them into what you want them to see the card as. Patience.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Yes, Dina.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
I work in other areas where it's all about the process, especially mediation. and you see magic happen when you trust the process. So you use very helpful language for me because I'm new at it. I'm feeling a little anxiety about going in to do something new. And to trust the process is very helpful language for me. Thank you. Great session.
Thank you, Dina. Thanks for sharing. Wonderful. I'd love to hear how it goes next time you use the game. It would be great. Yes, Barbara. I will unmute you.
Hi.
Sorry, could you please repeat yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay, so I was going to say exactly the same thing, not to go in with expectations, but simply trust the process. And I think that it will be so insightful and surprising what people come through with.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. You're right. I agree. Yes, thank you, Barbara. Cindy? Hold on, let's take you off of mute. Okay, hi Cindy, can you hear me?
Hi. I was really interested to hear the ideas of the workshop and the breathe new life into it. I like that idea and using the book. So giving me a lot of really good ideas there. So thank you.
Fantastic, wonderful. Thank you, Cindy. Thanks. I forgot to mention that if you want to learn a lot more and really experience the tools for yourself, then we have the trainer certification program and trainings coming up, so just let me know if you want to hear more about them anytime. Okay, Fabian, can you hear me? Let's see. Yes. Fabian? Oops, we'll come back to you. Georgia?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. Just to say, well, it's new, the game for me, so I'm enjoying hearing about what's possible, and I'm going to start trying to incorporate it more into my coaching, so I haven't actually used it yet. It's all very new, but it's very interesting.
Good. This is for you. Everything is possible.
Yeah.
All you got to do is use it. You just got to take it out, and the seeds will fly, and it'll be beautiful. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Georgia.
Thank you.
Grace? Let's unmute you. Yes, Grace.
More comfortable to get started.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Carla? Okay. Oh, can you hear me? Carla? Okay, we'll come back. Rebecca?
Connection. Just realizing what a both simple, really a simple way to have folks both connect with themselves and with each other, and me to them and them to me, and it's completely unobtrusive in that they can choose what they share or not. So I'm really looking forward to sharing it Friday with this group of adults that I'll be working with the disability. So we'll see how it goes.
Good. Please let me know how it goes. I would love to hear about how it was for you, how it was for them, and insights for next time. Fantastic.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Sabina? Hold on. Let's get you up on mute here. Sabina?
Oh,
yes.
My word would be playfulness. I really die to start immediately to play for myself and figure out the surprises. For the future, I would like to learn more about the puzzle.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I'll send you an email with lots of good stuff. And Vincent? Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think start simply and
start simply
and just get started using them.
Good. Great. Wonderful. Sounds great. Thank you all so much. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you reading the newsletter and joining and spending an hour together today. If you have any questions at any point, if you'd like to learn more, if whatever, you just want to say hi, I'm always available via email, Jamie as well, for Skype call, whatever it is, we're here. And happy playing, trust the process, have a wonderful day. I'll send you all a link to the recording and a bunch of good stuff too. So see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And again, this is Talia. It just says you're going on there in case it's confusing. Bye.